Hello, everyone. Hello. I want to welcome you to our virtual BB broadcast of Razor 101. Hello out there. My name is Roy. I'm a Bumble Live educator, and we are excited. We've been working hard to bring you these classes virtually and directly to you. And while we love teaching in person, we really want to deliver this class to you virtually, and going forward, a series of classes that will build on Razor 101. So welcome. I want to take you through what we're going to do today. Here is the agenda. We're going to talk about why the razor, the anatomy of the razor, terms for razor cutting. We'll look at references and why they're important. I'll take you through a filmed virtual long layers demo, the same with a pre-filmed graduated bob demo that were all filmed pre-COVID, and then we'll close. We also will have an opportunity for questions and comments, and while it looks like it's just me up here, we have a whole team backstage making sure that the show runs smoothly, and we also have educators on hand, including myself, to answer any questions and work through any comments. So why the razor? You know, what we love about the razor is we love that the razor creates strong shapes with soft movement. We love the translucency and textural effects that you can create with the blade. And really what we teach and what we've been working so hard with all of our work with the razor is to teach the razor and be able to imagine a shape and be able to create that with your hands. So that's one of the things we love about the razor. You know, we always look to the past. We look for historical references, iconic ideas, and whether you have taken a class at Vidal Sassoon, worked at Vidal Sassoon, we really feel like every hairdresser has been touched by Vidal. Why Vidal Sassoon is so influential to us as hairdressers. In the 60s, he really revolutionized the way that women got their hair done. He took women from the weekly wash and set. He built a set of fundamental techniques that could be reproduced and taught over and over again. Vidal was really, as you can see in these photos, he was really inspired by architecture. So Vidal Sassoon has touched all of us. When we think about Vidal Sassoon in the 60s, and knowing that Bumble and Bumble was founded in the late 70s, we talk about Bumble and Bumble, the evolution. So while we're all inspired and look to Sassoon for guidance, references, how do you translate that and how do you evolve those strong structures? When I look at this photo was done in the late to mid 80s. And when you see this shape now, it looks very soft, very natural. You can see all the movement. But when you think back to that time in the 80s, we still saw a lot of shapes that were very heavy, that had a lot of weight still left in them. And I particularly want to call your attention to the hairline in this photo. Back then, everybody just cut in a new hairline, or it was, didn't move very well. And one of the iconic things about Bumble and Bumble in all of our research and development with the razor is we really wanted to create soft movement. So when you look at this hairline, this is her hairline. This is soft and natural to the model. And built on top of that is a classic graduated bob that was, Sassoon based. The anatomy of the razor. So we're talking a lot about the razor, we're introducing the razor. Let's talk about how to use it. So here is the blade that we love the most. When we talk about the tip, We're talking about the edge of the blade from the middle to the tip. The tip edge is used to cut lines or remove weight. Next up, that arrow is pointing to the flat. The flat is the entire length of the blade used flat against the hair. The flat erases or diffuses lines. So if you think back to that image, the flat was probably used in that hairline to really melt away and collapse that hairline without shaving it completely off. And we also want to talk about the heel. The heel is the edge of the blade from the middle to the heel. The heel edge is used to cut length only, not weight. Length is cut starting from the center out. The heel is used to cut from the center. Also not illustrated in this image is the middle. So we're talking about the tip used and the heel used to cut lines. Another opportunity you have to use the middle edge of the blade is maybe in an upward stroke, perhaps do layers. So you get to utilize all angles of the blade. And why that's helpful is, as you work through the length and maybe the bangs in the side, the middle edge hasn't been used, and it's a fresh part of the blade that can still cut a clean line. And as I said before, we can use that in an upward stroke or in the layering. All right, terms for razor cutting. So we are breaking down how to use the razor. So let's talk about what's important. So we have a common language to speak from when we talk about razor cutting. Tension. So you look at this slide, you can see the tension or how taut they are holding the hair and holding that hair. And also what's different about razor cutting versus scissor cutting is we are cutting on top. So not only do you want to create the tension in your fingers, tension is also created from combing. The combing is combed clean from the scalp. And if you also look at this image, the moisture level is kept consistent either with product or water or prep and tonic or primers that we love to use. So not only is tension coming from your fingers, it's coming from how you comb the hair and how you direct the hair. We like to say that, comb the hair tight like a ribbon. And then just a little preview before we get into the film, you can also see the angle of the blade that they're about to cut with. You can see that's, slightly towards the edge. So the edge is, remember, what gives you a clean line. Also worth mentioning in razor cutting is stroke. We talk about a small, medium, or broad stroke. Each stroke will give you a different effect in the hair. So when you want to keep more weight in the perimeter, or maybe someone with finer hair, yes, people with finer hair can also have a razor cut. Maybe your stroke is smaller and tighter. Someone with more dense hair, or maybe you want to release more weight through the line or get more movement, maybe your stroke is more broad. A medium stroke is often used to, when you're first starting to create your movement, you're trying to see what the razor will do in that person's hair. Maybe you start off with a more medium stroke. I also just want to direct your attention to the second part of this slide. You can see there is the upward stroke. So the blade is in the air towards the ceiling and used with the middle edge. So yes, we're talking about a small, medium, and broad stroke, and we're also talking about an upward stroke. Effects. So we're talking about all the reasons that we love what the razor does. Again, the type of stroke that you use will produce a certain amount of effect in the hair. So whether it's translucency, whether it's strength, movement, weight removal, every time you move your hand differently or turn to a different angle, you'll get a different effect. That's one of the things that we focus on when teaching these techniques is paying attention to how your hand's moving, how you're holding the hair, because every time you do something different, it will affect the outcome of the haircut. And the true mastery is mastering all of the effects that you can get out of the razor with the hair. Weight removal. So we think about how to create movement through the interior. So we're talking about stroke, effects, tension. So all of that is great when we are cutting length, creating an angle through the front side or a bang section. And we also want to look at how do we take out weight internally. And we'll talk about that in the film. And here is a sneak peek. I like the image on the right. It's a little bit closer, and you can see that they are entering the hair with the tip of the blade, slightly angling it down and moving the blade to the edge. So it's those three little things. Sometimes they happen quickly, sometimes they happen slowly. But what's important when you take out weight is that you are in control of the blade. And I also really like in this photograph, you can see that deliberate opening in the hair. So we really want to take out weight in a controlled manner that is clean and effective rather than like crazy and choppy. All right, so we'll look at some references. We talked about the blade, we talked about stroke and all the ways that you can use it. So let's look at some references of what the razor can actually do. Now, why references are important, it gives us, of course it gives us inspiration, but it also gives us a goal to get through to the, our visualization of how we want things to look. Here is a great image. When I look at this image, I can see, first of all, I can see the framing of her face that's done so well. I love that it's a nice, strong shape with soft movement. All right, so we go from our first reference that is a little bit looser and softer. And here is a blonde bob. Wow, this is striking. I think one of the things that stands out for me is the nod to Sassoon, where you have that clean, strong line. It's like, wow, was this done with a scissor or a razor? And then when I look at the internal movement, I look at one, how the bob sits up on its own. There's no weight in the back. She could almost tuck that hair behind her ears and there wouldn't be that little bubble. So what leads me to believe is the interior is done with the razor, whether it's weight removal and that stroke could be done with the scissor, it could be done with the razor. And one of the things that we pride ourselves at Bumble is, we teach techniques, not haircuts. So, maybe your client or your reference, the line is a little bit stronger. So maybe that's done with the scissor, but maybe the interior is done with the razor. It could be both. Another cute little bob haircut. We love the softness on this. I love that the bang section is kind of like a little peekaboo in her eyes. And I love the styling of this. Again, when I look at these bob shapes, I'm noticing how well they are proportioned to the person and how well they sit in. Great one. All right, definitely done with the razor. Look at all that texture. I am noticing the hairline. I love that there is some length and a little bit of weight in that hairline so that it's not too see-through. I think that really lends itself well to the head shape and the proportion of this haircut. I'm also noticing the layering or movement through the crown. I love that this has soft movement and that those layers don't fall too heavy. And it's also lends itself to how you can go from a shorter to longer length in the crown working into some length through the front without, heaviness, and still get tons of movement. Great job. Beautiful, soft movement. What's great about this image is that the styling is her. It looks like her natural texture, her natural movement. Oftentimes in the salons, we are, blowing everybody out, whether it's with a round brush or a flat brush. And what's great is there is soft movement. It's still her natural texture. It's not taken too far away from who she naturally is. I love the rounded shape through the top, working into some strength into that bob section in the mid-neck. Another amazing haircut. First off, this reference stands out to me as a photograph. This is a beautiful profile shot. I love the elongation of the neck and really just a gorgeous profile. Let's talk about the haircut though. Wow. So we've got a strong shape through the back. I love the layering through, the top of the ear to the nape. And then it goes into a more rounded head shape, again, with tons of texture, tons of movement. What's amazing about this haircut is you see all that texture, you see all that softness, but you still really see a strong shape. I think one of the downsides of using the razor is collapsing the shape too much and making things too soft that the shape isn't strong enough, but not the case in this photograph. Really strong shape, really great profile, and amazing texture. All right, our classic long layer. What I see in this image is I see movement, I see shape, I see a face frame, I see a bang section that moves to the side. I consider this to be a more like classic long layered haircut that she could put her hair up. She has some little bits that frame her face and easy to style in a multiple of different ways. Beautiful. Classic image. Similar to the last image, a shorter version, all of the same key techniques, all of the same key features. So we've got length, we've got bang section, we've got those side pieces that create a soft frame, and of course some layering through the top. Great movement, great shape. Beautiful. What I love about this reference is, I'm looking at the contrast of the black and white photo. I'm noticing how dark, like in this photograph, how dark and dense her hair looks. But one of the things that they were able to capture with the razor is they're able to open up the face, create soft layering through the crown, and enough movement that she's not lost in all that hair. So weight removal, layering, and movement, textural effects are all working here to still keep a classic shape and lots of movement and not have tons of hair cut off. Really pretty. All right, another classic long layer. I think what's complementing, for all my colorists out there, what's complementing this razor haircut is the color. So all of that hand painting balayage, those light pieces on the end are really bringing out the texture, really bringing out the shape in this classic long layer haircut. All right, so I promised a long layer demo. We are going to transition. We're going to move into a film that we shot some months ago. So you'll notice that this was filmed pre-COVID, so no one's wearing a mask, no one's wearing protective gear. So I just want to stress that it was filmed a long time ago, and we are presenting. This is the first time we're able to present this demo to you.
Hi, my name is Nico, and I'm a stylist and educator at Bumble and Bumble. I'm going to be showing you a long layered haircut done with a razor. The reason why we love the razor at Bumble is because it creates translucency and soft lines. Cutting long layers is a common and frequent request in the salon. Some of the aspects that we can pay attention to are the texture, density, growth patterns, and the way the client wears their hair.
All right, so we've slowed down this video so we can really take a look. This is Nico's model, Christy. You can see her existing texture. You know, what I notice is her hair gets a little bit puffy. Really want to control and create a strong shape with the razor. I can tell that Nico is assessing what lengths he's gonna cut to. He's noticing the length through the top, right? There's his length through the perimeter. Checking out her natural texture, maybe checking out to see where he would want to put any face framing, if he's going to do a bang section, where that would lay. I love how he just kind of laid it there to see how buoyant it was. You know, sometimes with this texture, you want to make sure that it doesn't bounce up too high. Checking out her cheekbones, her profile. We mentioned in the beginning about tension. You know, one of the ways that you can get a great tension and a great even out the porosity of the hair is with a primer. You'll notice that Nico is using Hairdresser's Invisible Primer to put some moisture in her hair and, you know, to get the hair wet for cutting. That looks like BB Straight. It's a blow dry cream. Yes, we add blow dry creams as we cut. One of the reasons is to keep a consistent moisture throughout the hair so he doesn't have to constantly keep wetting the hair down with water. And really, one advantage to that is you can see her natural texture as it starts to dry. So you can control any growth patterns, weight. Sometimes when the hair is too wet, you miss it. So here is our first section from the center back to the nape. That section is conducive to the texture of her hair. He is using the tip to the left and the heel to the right, a way to distribute the hair around the head shape. Of course, if you're left-handed, you'll flip that. This is a great shot of the blade in action. You can see the tip and the edge. I would call that a more medium to broad stroke. There is Nico's perimeter, soft movement, strong lines. He's now assessing the head shape for the bang section. The bang section is anything that grows forward to the temple. So as he's combing that hair forward, he is noticing what grows forward, what's in that panel, and what those growth patterns underneath are doing. That looks like a great, nice, even section. You can see the center parting from behind it. And he's going to be cutting slightly off center. So off center to where her natural growth pattern splits, but everything behind where he sectioned out his placement is neutral or center. Now, because that is quite a large section, you can see Nico subsectioning just that front hairline. He's going to be using the tip of the blade, the heel of the blade on the right side and the edge, and his stroke is broad. So a broad stroke to give you movement and a nice push away feeling. As he starts to glide down, he's creating more movement and more length through that front section. Pretty. All right, so we've got our bang section that he just cut. Now he's moving on to the transition or the side. And he's going to connect that bang section to the side. He's showing you the angle that he's cut, which is quite steep. And there he is from the back of the bang, from the original section that he sectioned out. Elevation, over direction are key to creating a bang section to side section that visually connect. There it is. It's a great shot. So he's going from where that bang section leaves off with a broad stroke and elevation to meet the length. Moving on to the layers. The layers are sectioned from the back of the bang, a wide center section all the way to the nape, which you can clearly see in what he has wound down. He's looking at the length from the side section to the length of the center section, and that is a visual guide using the middle edge of the blade and working with an upward stroke with a broad movement to create soft layers. It's beautiful to see the edge used in that way. Now the left side is over directed to the center, and he is connecting those layers with over direction, so they fall more cascade, or concave, I should say. Beautiful. So here's our haircut finished. You can see that soft layering through the front, and adding a bit of dry oil finishing spray, shaking that out. You can see the movement through the top. You can see that steep angle through the side that has a very fluid connection. And here is Christy blow dried. Soft movement, lots of volume. It's great the way that that hair shakes out. Here she is. So in a moment, this film will end, and if we're going to debrief. I want to hear from you what comments you have, what questions you have. Just wait for those to come in. All right. All right, I can't see any on my side. Love the okay, here they come. Thank you. All right, so the comments are love the movement. I love how much control he has in his elevation. Yes, all that control comes from all the things that we talked about. Tension, stroke, effects, right? All that takes practice. Beautiful. Thanks, Amy. All right. So we will keep these comments and questions coming in. Maybe what we should do is move to the graduated bob. Oh, here's a question. Is there a difference between the razor used in the video versus a traditional barbering face razor? Yes, there is. The difference is the razor that we use, which is a feather razor, the gauge of the blade is thicker than a traditional barber face razor. The advantage is that you have a little bit more, you have more control with the blade, and the barbering face razors are thinner so that they can glide on the face without cutting the skin. So the difference is the blade is thicker on the feather razor. All right, let's move into our next film. And as more questions and comments come in, we'll answer those directly.
Hi, my name is Christian, and I'm an educator and stylist here at Bumble and Bumble. You're about to see a graduated bob cut with a razor. Graduated bobs are a timeless classic. They're sophisticated, they're stylish, and they look great on everybody.
All right, here is Christian's model, Felicity. Let's do a graduated bob. Key things in all haircuts is assessing the hairline. You can see Christian is using a brush. He's looking at the hairline. So typically we're used to looking at the hairline in the back, but he's also looking at the hairline in the front. He's noticing her density and really all of that soft movement that she has. Assessing the head shape to where the graduation's actually going to sit, right? A true graduated bob, what the elements is, it reveals head shape. I love the way that he lifts up all of her hair to see the whole hairline. Christian is pulling some of that hairline out to see what jumps, what direction it grows, and how he will tackle that hairline. What's great about this hairline is the hair that he has pulled out is soft. It's anything that's not strong enough to be aligned. Thinking about what's going to happen in the front. So as he builds the shape, what kind of face framing or what kind of bang section he'll take to create movement through the front. Christian is using Prep as his primer. Lightweight, the most versatile of our primers. Also going in with thickening spray, so a good amount of Prep followed with thickening spray gives you sections that grip and really control. Right? So the little bit of hold that's in thickening spray will help you keep your sections clean, especially in the nape where he's working with something a little bit jumpy or he needs some hold in there so that if it was just water, it would just slip out. So isolating those pieces that he saw in the hairline, right? And this is an opportunity to use the flat of the blade. So remember, the flat diffuses lines, creates the most amount of graduation, and we really want to soften and flatten all of those growth patterns, not shave them off, flatten them so that we can build graduation on top of it. Have you ever done a haircut and the hairlines weren't controlled and you go to blow dry it and it kicks out? This eliminates all that. Great, soft, natural. There's still a shadow there. We want to keep that shadow. That keeps it real looking. It keeps it natural looking. We don't want to shave all that off. So now Christian is going for his first real section. The first section with the flat is a subsection. This is the first section where he'll be using the edge and the heel, the tip of the blade to the left and the heel of the blade to the right. Again, if you're a lefty, you flip it. Look at all of that control with the tight to medium stroke, putting in his first perimeter line. Very nice. I can see translucency through the line, but I also see a very strong shape. All right, here is our second section of the graduated bob. Taking down only enough hair that he can control with his fingers. Combing from the underneath, Velcroing that underneath to the new length, using her head shape that he assessed in the beginning to put the graduation in. There's the heel and the edge of the blade with a broad stroke. And look at that texture in his hand. The texture that you have in your hand is an exact mirror image of what you just cut. So when you are trying to evaluate your stroke, you can just look in your hand. Here is our first chance to take weight out. You can see the clean, deliberate cuts. He puts the tip of the blade in, moves it slightly to the edge, and pulls that out. Clean, deliberate. And now he'll cut his line. we like to take our weight out first, then cut the line. Traditionally. You can already start to see the graduation build up in his line. Great shape, great hairline. One of the things that this haircut does, graduated bob, is accentuates the neck. All right, so once you reach the crest of the occipital bone, you'll work on one complete side, and the sectioning is from the occipital bone to the low recession, depending on density. Working one whole side helps us keep our balance, and he is also sectioning out the front of the ear, so whatever grows in front, cut it in front. There's the elevation for his graduation. There's our weight removal. All right, I see some questions coming in. I'll get to those in a second. I want to finish what's going on with Christian's haircut. Here he is. So he's going from elevation in the crown to a one length through the front, which is a classic graduated bob. All right, so one side's cut. Christian already cut the second side. He is assessing what's happening in the front section, noticing everything that's growing forward. It looked like she had some existing layering that was either grown out, and rather than just not do anything with it, Christian is choosing to layer that front. So there's what's existing in the front right there. You can see that connection through the back, all that length. And he'll be layering from the front to the back. Here is going into position. Beautiful shape with an upward stroke. There is the middle and the edge. So he's working from that existing length and just taking off that little bit of hair that's grown out that hasn't been connected to anything. You can see that volume that it's producing through the front. Wow, and that really opens up that cheekbone. You can see the movement that is pushing from around her face, opening up that cheekbone and connecting it right into that new graduated bob. Working with Sumo Clay, what we love about this product is we love the matte moldable texture. We love that you can put this, it almost goes in more velvety and then dries with a little bit more texture. So don't be afraid to finish with a wax. Beautiful, beautiful. There's Felicity. All right, so I see that there is a question coming through. I'm thirsty for new core long hair techniques. Do you have any tips finding it tough to use facial features with clients wearing masks? Yeah, in the world that we're living in, wearing masks, it can be hard to find facial features, especially since everyone, most people haven't had it. They're not getting their haircut as often. So a lot of the shapes are more grown out than usual. So it's almost sometimes working with a blank canvas is even harder than someone that's coming in every 6 to 12 weeks with a haircut, with a fresh haircut. I think that you have to spend a little bit more time in the consultation. Even though people are wearing masks, I think it really comes down to all the basics that we know so well as part of our training is really talking, looking, slowing down, and really having a proper consultation with clients. So maybe they're not taking their mask off and you can't see this part of their cheekbone, but maybe you use more descriptive words in your consultations and talk to them a bit more about what they're wanting to get out of, the haircut that they're sitting in your chair with today. is my best advice is take a little longer in the consultation. And when I say take a little longer, maybe it's 1 more minute, maybe it's 45 more seconds. It doesn't have to be 10 more minutes. It just spend a little bit more time with them so that you can bring out the best. All right, so let's debrief this graduated Bob. I'll wait for questions and comments to come in. What we just saw is classic graduated Bob technique, all of the soft movement, all of the soft texture that you can create with a blade. And I love the way that Christian finished the haircut with that layering through the top. So, taking everything that we know about a classic haircut and really taking advantage of all the opportunities we have to personalize, finish, and signature haircuts to the client. I'm missing their cheekbones. Yep, missing their cheekbones one day. Comment, beautiful, beautiful haircut. Yeah, I think graduated Bobs, the way that they're executed really are beautiful haircuts. When I think about the graduated Bob that I was cutting in the 90s, it's not the graduated Bob that I cut today. Everything can be personalized, so we take all of the techniques and foundations that we know and personalize, bring them to something new. All right. I don't see any more questions or comments coming in. Of course, this broadcast will repeat. And if you guys have questions or comments that come up later, we'll be looking out in the next few days to answer everything. We also want to invite you to scan the QR code that will take you to Bumble Pro. If you're not already following us, follow us at Bumble Pro, scan the QR code. And we also, we are just getting used to presenting classes in this virtual way. We would love your feedback. Please take the survey at SurveyMonkey and tell us what you loved about it. Tell us what we can improve on. And also tell us maybe what you'd like to see in the future for virtual classes. I want to thank you all for tuning in to our Razor 101 BB broadcast. And again, leave any comments for us that you have, and look forward to us bringing more classes to you in the future. All right. Goodbye, everyone.